Hey there, this is Dr. Gary Pepper, and we're going to be talking about the adrenal gland, which not only can affect our health, but can affect the health of our dogs and cats. So let's get going. Hi there, it's me again here down in the corner. So the mighty adrenal, the adrenal gland makes a multitude of very important hormones that keep us alive, and I think we really need to know a bit more about it and how it could affect our health. So how can the adrenal hormones affect our body? Well, in a multitude of ways. The connective tissue, that's our skin and bone, are very susceptible to the effects of excess amounts of adrenal hormones like cortisol or synthetic forms like prednisone, which can cause thinning of the bone, which is osteoporosis. Thinning of the skin can result in what are known as striae, which are basically purple stretch marks that generally appear on the abdomen, but it also can cause mood changes from too much or too little adrenal hormones like cortisol. Can either range from mania to depression or to just melancholy or more mild forms of mood disturbance. The immune system is very sensitive to excess amounts of adrenal hormone like cortisol, and you can develop immune suppression from medications like prednisone and dexamethasone, which are synthetic forms of the adrenal hormone. The cardiovascular system is very susceptible. Too much of cortisol and another adrenal hormone known as aldosterone can cause high blood pressure. Too much of those hormones can also cause fluid retention, known as edema. And then fairly well-known side effect is excess storage of fat, which is generally in what is called the central locations, like over the abdomen. So excess abdominal fat is one common finding in people with excess hormones like Cushing's disease. I mean, here's a list of the hormones made by the adrenal. We mentioned cortisol. Aldosterone is a different type of hormone, but it causes problems with fluid retention and electrolytes. DHEA is a very abundant hormone when we're younger, and it is involved with just general health maintenance, but also the production of estrogen and testosterone. Catecholamines comes from the core part of the adrenal, known as the medullary portion, and excess amounts of catecholamine, some people refer to it as adrenaline, but that's a misnomer, Catecholamines can make your blood pressure go up and your heart race, can make you feel nervous and shaky, and the sex hormones, estrogen and testosterone, in smaller amounts than made by the ovary and testes, but they're still there, and they can lead to excess hair growth in conditions like Cushing's disease, but also polycystic ovarian disease. Well, the story of the adrenal gland in terms of its regulation, which is very tight because, as I've been alluding to, too much or too little of these hormones can be devastating. So the key to regulation is right here in the base of our brain. There's something called the pituitary hypothalamic axis, which is a dynamic duo of these two essential areas within the base of the brain that control the production of not only cortisol, but all kinds of other important hormones that control the thyroid and things like growth hormone. So the key hormone from the pituitary gland that controls the adrenal is known as ACTH, and there's a condition of excess amounts of ACTH, which then leads to excess adrenal hormone called Cushing's. For those of you who are dog lovers or even cat lovers, Cushing's is a much more common condition in dogs and cats than it is in humans, fortunately. But some of the people who own dogs and cats have been perhaps acquainted with what happens to their pets when the Cushing's disease occurs. Now, what's interesting is that in order to prevent the problems that are associated with excess adrenal hormones like cortisol, that there's what we call a diurnal variation, which is controlled by the hypothalamic pituitary axis. And what that means is that certain times of the day, the cortisol, in this case, is very high in our blood, as it is important for our daily function, energy, strength. But by evening, the cortisol levels have come down dramatically, so that this allows our body to rest. And for me, it seems like a roller coaster ride. And for many people, I believe, who experience life as a roller coaster ride, the hormones are peaking in the morning, and by bedtime, they're almost back to zero. And that is a very important feature in terms of diagnosis, because in people with things like Cushing's disease, excess amounts of naturally occurring hormones like cortisol, you can check the cortisol level at 11 at night or midnight, and if it's too high, that's an indication that the circadian rhythm is out of whack and is one of the hallmarks of things like Cushing's disease. So if you enjoyed learning something about the adrenal gland and want to learn more, you can head over to my website, metabolism.com. And please don't forget to subscribe and leave a like and share and all those things that will help this channel grow. Thanks a lot. The contents of this video podcast are for educational purposes only. And if you really have some concerns about your health or medical issues, please consult with your own healthcare provider.